Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Mike's Bar and Grill in downtown Berea. Welcome to the Athletics Roadshow on BWYellowJackets.com. It is time for the 2022-2023 calendar year for Baldwin Wallace Athletics. I'm Brendan Gulick. Really glad to have you on board for what we hope is going to be a great year for the Yellow Jackets. And we don't have too much to recap as we typically do at the beginning of these shows because only the women's golf team played on Sunday, and it was just an early season competition that came in third place in their tournament. So congratulations to them for a good start to the season. But it's all about looking forward and looking forward to the beginning of the year. And we welcome on head coach Jim Hovert of the Yellow Jacket football team. Boy, it's good to be back, isn't it?
It's great to be back. It's great to see you.
Thanks. It's good to see you too.
Hopefully on a weekly basis.
I sure hope so. I hope so. Hey, this is this is my favorite time of year, man. Hope springs eternal. You know, you think about everything that's in front of you, what you've been working toward, all the things that you try to implement from the offseason. Try to give us a perspective of your mindset and then just what your team's mindset is this time of year as you get ready to launch your season Saturday.
Like for today, it's game week. You know, the intensity level, the sense of urgency is definitely up. I know our guys are finally excited to get the 2022 journey kicked off with playing Mount St. Joe down in Cincinnati. Finally we got a chance to obviously scrimmage Worcester last Thursday. Did some good things, some things we need to get better at and stuff like that. Hopefully we can take another jump this week in improving as a football team. But no, I know our guys are excited. Can't wait to go back to my old stomping grounds. Grew up on the west side of Cincinnati. Started coaching at Mount St. Joe in 2000. Was there until 2006. So excited about seeing some people I haven't seen in a while. And excited about playing a good football team at Mount St. Joe.
Let's go back to that Worcester scrimmage for just a minute because I imagine that most of our fans at home here haven't had a chance to see what that scrimmage was like. I don't believe it was broadcast, so I know you're more critical and you're going to watch things through a more critical eye than the rest of us would, but what did you see? What surprised you or anything like that?
Right. I thought for us, offensively, we played really well. I was really happy. We had some new guys, some young guys show some stuff, playing at wide receiver, playing at running back. Our new quarterback, Joey Marusik, had a really good first half. He did a great job for us offensively. Dean Sayers kicked a 45-yard field goal, would have been good from 60.
Sweet.
So we did some really good things in that game, but defensively, obviously, I'm on the defense side of the ball. We did not play well. We did not do the things I was expected that we were going to do. And I think our kids knew that after watching the film, being critical of ourselves like you talked about. And we have a lot of improvement to do going into this week. But hopefully we can give some – I think our offense got some confidence going into the next week. I'm really excited about them keep improving every week. And some guys I've seen, the older guys, Jake Novak, Elijah Arnett, some younger guys, Timmy Conwell, Kane Baker, Mikkel Love, guys like that showed up on the offense. Running back-wise, DJ Griffiths, Victor Ford, Mario Thomas, Jack Foley, Achilles Beeman, all did some really good things. And it all starts up front. Had some young guys up front that did some really good job opening up holes and getting a lot of experience. And so for us, on offensively, I thought we did some really good things. And then defense, we just got to iron out some of our issues on defense.
Got an opportunity maybe tonight to start to introduce this team to folks at home who hopefully will see them in person several times this year. I know you've got a pretty young group, all things considered, 12 starters returning between the two sides of the ball. 55 letter winners, so it's not like it's an entirely new roster, but there's an element of the team that feels a little bit young. My question is, how much do you enjoy this time of the year where you really have to teach things because of the lack of experience returning as starters?
Oh, there's no doubt. I think for us, we did, I thought, a really good job during camp, making sure those younger guys try to catch up as much as possible with the older guys, playbook-wise, on offense and defense side of the ball, and just making them part of the BW football family, part that camaraderie and that family atmosphere that you're trying to look for. I thought we did a good job during camp of doing that, and then we need to continue to build on that. Going to play paintball together and doing Jeopardy and all the different type of things that we did as a football team, hopefully will show on the football field with us, our guys trusting each other, playing for each other, and having that brotherhood. And so it's really exciting, obviously, to have some of these new guys show their stuff while having those older guys that have been around for 10 years, like we talked about Dr. Murray being back. But it is. Having that mix of older, younger guys is definitely is a good thing for our football team.
We jokingly call him Dr. Murray. John Murray Jr. is in, I believe, what is officially his 6th season at BW. And I might be incorrect on that, but I just feel like he's been here for a decade. Seriously, do guys on the team, They give him a hard time about that? Do
Oh,
they call
yeah,
him
we
Doc?
do.
Like, what's the deal?
They act like he's 40 years old, 38 years old. So we
Does
kid
he
around.
act like it?
Yes, he does. So we kid around about it, have a good time about it. But they have a good mix, like you talked about, with the younger guys, older guys. I mean, we're young in some positions that guys, I think, will keep growing as the season goes on and keeps guys from game to game. And it's exciting to see those guys do that.
All right, hardest hitting question of the night. Who's the best paintball player?
Wow. Hey, I'll go with Jeff Stetler,
Okay.
our assistant football coach.
Oh,
Former
geez. Won't even pick a player.
Former FBI agent. So I better stick with that guy.
No further explanation
Yes,
required.
that's right.
Yellow Jackets kick off the season 1:30 on Saturday down in Cincinnati at Mount St. Joe's. One of the new, I guess faces, new identities of the team is going to be a quarterback. I know you had a bit of a competition during fall. Give us an idea where things stand between Waymer and your transfer quarterback from Akron here.
Joey Marusic and Grace Waymer did a great job competing all during camp. As a matter of fact, they battled back and forth from day to day, did a great job. And Joey ended up beating him out. And obviously, he did a lot of good things. But really, it was great to see two guys compete every single day against each other. Joey, obviously, coming out top. Both guys, I said, Joey did a really good job during our scrimmage this past Thursday, did some really good things. And obviously, having a faith in a senior as Reese Waymer if we need to be able to put him in the game.
So, as you decided to move forward here initially with Joey, give us an idea of his toolkit. What is his strongest part of his game?
I would say he has a live arm to go along with his leadership qualities. Very intelligent young man. Sees the whole field. Basically having I believe another coach on the field, but also another great leader where guys want to rally around a guy like that. And actually, just a great person. He's really been a great addition to our football program. Overall, I say just as a really good person, but has a live arm, great leader, knows the game of football, and guys like to rally around and play for him.
So how about from a leadership standpoint? And I don't care if it's on the field where you're rallying guys or if it's somebody who is just that much more diligent when they're watching film or really pushing the team when it comes to being in the weight room. Who are the guys that, you guys as a coaching staff are looking at and saying, hey, we're going to go as far as he can take us?
Yeah, I would say, like I said, the natural leaders. Like I said, I think obviously at the quarterback position, you're going to have a natural leader, and guys like Joey Marusic. I think John Murray, being here, obviously, as long as he's been here, and being that leader, being a voice of the team for the last, like I said, 5 years, 6 years, he's definitely one of those guys. George Newcomb, a guy who was an honorable mention, I believe, all-league in the OAC last year. He's definitely have more voice on the offensive line. Excited about that. And then our receiving core with Jake Novak, Elijah Arnett, having guys like that have been around, I think is another huge deal. And on the defensive side of the ball, I think you have guys like Jordan Smith, Frank Sukup, Dylan O'Donohue, Robbie Williamson, Anthony Kendall. We have some more experience, Jacob Hill, around on the defense side of the ball, which have been around, have had a lot of experience, and I think are good leaders.
How about from a coaching staff perspective? You're in your 6th year, and I know that you're in kind of a rhythm now. It feels like, knock on wood, all the COVID stuff is so far in the rearview mirror. It's just full steam ahead on what's in front of you. When you think about the chemistry of this staff, what you guys tried to accomplish in the offseason and sort of where you're at right now as you start the year, how pleased are you?
I am. So we lost 2 coaches in the offseason. I think we've done a really good job of integrating, obviously, Ethan Nickel and obviously Michael Wartz. Michael Wartz is our offense coordinator. Ethan's our special teams coordinator and linebacker coach. And those guys have done a really good job of being part of what we're doing. I thought there are 2 great hires, fit in just chemistry-wise. They're great coaches, but they're great people, fit into our chemistry with Dean Collison and Ryan Parnell, and obviously Andrew Cregan and Andrew Zimmerman and the rest of our staff. They fit in. And I think that goes a long way with having a cohesive staff.
What was the offense? What was the off season like? I know the year ended on a frustrating note, but I would hope that after maybe the tough feelings from that loss faded, that you kind of look back on this season and say, look, we took a really good step forward as a group, and we're that close.
Right. I think it got a chip on our shoulder even more to be able to take the next step. kept us hungry in the offseason, knowing, like you talked about, how close we were. And obviously didn't end up on the note that we wanted, but I think it also kept us hungry and seeing some of the things that we need to correct and what we need to do to take it the next step. And that's the little things. We need to take care of the little things take care of the big things, and I think our kids realize that.
You know, you mentioned a couple of coaching changes. When you have to go through the process of hiring a new coach, whether it's a coordinator or a position coach, how much do you put weight on their recognition of where your program is right now and how they think they can come in and say, look, you guys had a great season, you're right there, and here's what I think I can do to help get you over the hump?
Oh, I think that's a big thing, be able to help elevate our program to the next level, what certain people can bring to the mix. I think both the guys we brought in can help us do that, elevate our program to the next level. I think bring a unique mindset. Guys, the guy coming from St. John's, Minnesota. Obviously, Ethan coming from Wyoming, he's a GA, obviously had grassroots in Heidelberg. So understanding the area, being great recruiters, knowing that where we need to go talent-wise, because they've seen it and where been a part of it, I think goes a long way with the hiring process. And the other thing, like I said, chemistry. They got to fit.
You mentioned the word recruiting. It's 24/7, 365, man. That's, they put head coach on your business card. But what they don't put is constant recruiter because it doesn't stop, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's in season or off season. Take us off the field for the moment. How are things going on the recruiting trail, and how excited are you about the guys that are on the cusp of being Yellow Jackets?
No, I would tell you this. I think recruiting last year, I thought we ended up on a really good note recruiting. I thought we got some really good football players that are going to be part of our foundation at BW, and definitely going to be guys that leave their mark as a Yellow Jacket, which I'm really excited about. I think we have a really good young core of freshmen. And then I see this summer, I thought our staff and I, we did a great job of recruiting, bringing guys on campus. We had over 200 visits of guys young men on campus. Wow. And I thought they were impressed of our school, what BW can do for them academically, where it can set them up in the next 5 years, but also football-wise, where our program's going and where they see themselves fitting, in the program, offensively, defensively, and help taking our program to the next level and helping us knock that damn door down to where we want to go. So I think that was this summer's was really good. We're excited about having game day visits here shortly. Our first home games against Ohio Northern, so we're excited about that.
A few more questions for head coach Jim Hovert as we talk football. The Yellow Jacket season kicks off on Saturday afternoon with their one non-conference game of the season. How about from a university perspective? When you take a head coaching job, I know you're looking for how you think you can fit, and they're looking for somebody that fits the culture of a university. I realize COVID has thrown a giant wrench into things, but it's only part of the story of now what is your sixth season. How would you hope that fans view you as a part of this community and what you've tried to accomplish university-wide beyond just what you're trying to do on the football field?
Hopefully they view me as a guy that obviously cares about the young people I'm in touch with every single day, and that obviously I care dearly about BW, the community I'm involved in every single day, and want to make a difference. I know it's cliche-ish, but I want to make a difference, obviously, in the athletic program, obviously the school as an institution, but also the young man's lives I touch every single day. I want to be able to make a difference, and obviously that's just not football, but they hope they get a chance to obviously see me as a friend, a husband, a mentor, and they can take my advice and they can better themselves and be successful after they graduate from BW, and that our relationship's a lifelong relationship. And to go along with everybody else on campus, that they see me as a person that, loves being here and being part of the community and wants to make a difference. And it's not just about my guys on football, but it's about everybody in the community that I can talk to and obviously feel good about what they're doing so positively in the BW community.
Are there any cool stories of things that maybe some of your players got to do during the summer because it's the off season, immersion trips or special internships, things, big projects, things that might have caught your attention?
Yeah, I was going to say, Mac Simpson did an internship down at the University of Arkansas with the strength program. I know there's guys, I'm drawing a blank. You put me on the spot, I see with things, but I know there's a lot of guys that got opportunities to do a lot of different things this past summer that helped better themselves with some of the internships and things that they did over the past summer. I know we had another guy work in the minor league team, baseball team, out. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head.
Which city?
It's in Cleveland, out by
Lake County Captains.
Yes.
Out on the east side.
Yes.
Sure.
So had obviously a great experience doing that too. So
awesome.
Well, I know, like I said, a lot of my guys, I said, had a lot of fun this past summer.
How about from a shift the conversation to the conference? There's a school in Alliance that until they are consistently knocked off, they're the measuring stick in the league. And right now it feels like on any given year between John Carroll and BW, those are the two schools that consistently seem to have the best chance at knocking off Mount Union. I realize those are kind of the two rival games, and I know they haven't gone great. How much do you guys discuss, hey, this is what we need to do better this year if we're going to beat the Purple Raiders, or if we're going to get past John Carroll?
Oh, yeah. We talk about, that's all. You have to play practically a perfect game against them. You really do. You got to be sound in everything you do. You got to play a perfect game. You got to take advantage of their mistakes, because if you don't, you're not going to win that game. But obviously for us, you look back, and your guys do too. Ohio Northern took them to the very end.
Yes,
and obviously, so you take things like that, what they did against them, and obviously to put them in a spot to be able to do that. But in critical situations and critical downs against them, you got to be able to make plays, because obviously they're a really very well coached team, have some really good football players, but you got to take advantage of the miscues they have.
Ohio Northern and Heidelberg are probably, in my opinion, the next tier of teams that are typically very good and often have the talent to maybe pull off an upset here and there, but maybe haven't consistently been in the conversation toward the playoffs. That's half the league, those 5 schools, right? The strength of a conference, a lot of people look at who wins the league and who might, quote-unquote, have a chance to make a run in the playoffs. But I think a lot of coaches will determine how strong a league is based on the bottom half of the league. How tough are those games against teams that, quote-unquote, you should win? During your time here, the teams that have typically been toward the bottom, Wilmington, Muskingum, occasionally Otterbein, how much more difficult have those games gotten?
Oh, that's the thing people don't understand. Like Marietta, Andy Waddle's done an unbelievable job at Marietta. And I know before I even got here, Marietta was not that good.
Sure.
And Andy's done a great job at Marietta. They're a good football team.
Absolutely.
Year in and year out. Wilmington, they've improved a great deal. Muskie.
Yep.
Coach has done a great job in Muskie. They had a good football team last year. And people keep forgetting, like, those teams keep improving, and it makes your schedule harder and harder. You can't take anybody lightly in this league. They're very well coached, and they all have some really good football players.
Is there any one of that group that took you most by surprise last year, just the way they jumped forward and maybe were, more a part of the conversation in the league?
I thought the team, even though we played well against them, I thought Muskie did a really good job. I think it's their best record they've had in a while, where they were 5-5.
Yep.
They did a really good job. And the other team, I think, like I said, mention this again, Andy Waddle's done a really good job at Marietta. They had a good football team.
Wrap things up here maybe on the defensive side of the ball, since you mentioned that's an area where you want to see, substantial improvement here. You've got a team in Mount St. Joe's. I know they're proud of their program. They haven't achieved at a super high level in recent years. Is part of what your defense needs to accomplish, is part of it, hey, we're playing some teams that maybe offensively aren't going to be the super high-octane offenses that we know we're going to see later in the year. Do you think they could get off to a good start this year?
I'll tell you what, for us, because we have our hands full this week against them. They have a really good quarterback, and Josh Taylor. Cornell Beecham's a really good football player, running back. They have stable receivers with Omar, and like I said, those guys have some good football players. So we're going to have to play really well on the defense side ball. And we told my guys that today. They know they have a challenge in front of them. And I think that gets the juices flowing even more. Regular season game, here we go. Obviously playing a good opponent. And this game does have a little special meaning to me too. So
absolutely.
Excited about it.
Back in your home backyard.
Yeah.
I love that. We'll let you go on this. Is there a motto or some sort of rallying cry for the team this year?
Yeah, for us it's last of the hard. Having to be in that group of guys that's willing to do the hard stuff that other guys aren't. Because I ask a lot of my players, and I think that goes a really good calling card for us. Be willing to do the things that other people ain't willing to do.
You want opportunities that other people don't typically get, you got to do the things that other people don't typically do. I love it. I'm so excited for you and for this season. I know how much this job and this culture and community mean to you. I wish you the best of luck,
Thank
man.
you so much.
It's
Great
a fun
seeing you
program.
again.
It's
Great
to
seeing
see
you
you
again.
too.
Great seeing you too.
Coach
Appreciate
Hilvert,
it. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Coach Hilvert of our Yellow Jacket football team. They get ready to get rolling on Saturday afternoon against Mount St. Joseph at 1:30. All right. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thanks, buddy. It was good seeing you.
Good to see you too. We'll have let's see, either Steve Thompson or Reid Ayers. We'll go with Reid first. Reid Ayers, come on down.
I warmed him up, Reid. All right, warmed him up. All right.
He warms him up. Okay. Reid, great to see you.
Good to see you, my friend.
How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Happy, I'd say happy summer, but summer's over, so happy fall.
Yeah, happy fall.
How
no
was
doubt.
summer?
We had one.
That tends to be how it goes.
Yeah, it does.
Flies by.
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to you on 92.3. I was going to call in. It was one of the few times I would
Well,
call
next
in.
time do it.
I will. But just wanted to light you up. But I decided to take the high road.
Well, no, please call next time. Reid Ayers, our head coach for the men's soccer program at BW, our guest this evening. I cannot believe that we are talking about a team that starts the season here in, I guess, about 72 hours. Thursday night, the opener.
It's crazy. It is crazy. We just got the kids in, and it's the joy of our preseason. We just don't get much time with them, but credit to the kids. They hit the ground running. I mean, their fitness scores were off the charts, best we've had, and they did the work. I mean, they're trying to flip the script here a little bit, so we're really excited.
Give us an idea, before we talk maybe moving forward in the season, looking back here on training camp, what you tried to accomplish during the summer, how you attacked fall, and where you think you are now as you get ready for the year.
Well, we're still kind of in that process of kind of building the team. I mean, I think for us it was really starting to build the relationships, and I mean, we have a really unique team this year. It's we've got a core of seniors, and we've got a boatload of freshmen, and then we have some juniors and sophomores in the mix. So it's been a challenge. I mean, we have 4 guys that committed to coming back with the extra year of eligibility. They're doing their master's work, so really excited to have them. I think they're in great form, and certainly that having gone through some of the stuff, they're going to be tremendous leaders for us. So for us, it was just really implementing a little bit of our culture, a little bit of how we want to play, and really just starting to build those relationships.
I realize that maybe the parents or the friends of players that are intimately familiar with the program probably have a decent feel for the roster, but there's a good chance that there are folks watching that don't know much about the team. So why don't we take a 10,000-foot view of what this team looks like, how strong you think the senior class can be. I know you referenced the fact there's a lot of young kids, but a bit of an introduction to what you expect from this team.
Well, I think for us, it's really going to start in the center of the defense. I mean, we have Trevor Ham coming back for his 5th year, and he is bar none, the best form of his career. I mean, he's
Excellent.
really playing well, and it's really just finding partners to play with him. I think one of the things that we were really looking at this year was could we rotate our squad more? We weren't real pleased with our depth, and now we're looking at going, my gosh, we've got 4 center backs that we feel could play for most teams. So
Awesome.
Trevor spearheading that. A kid like Reid Watkins coming back for his 5th year. I mean, it's a great story. After his freshman year, they discovered a blood clot. I mean, from his armpit down to his mid-thigh, and
my goodness.
it was bad. I mean, it was certainly. We're thrilled that there was no lingering effects, but I mean that was a 2-year recovery, and right when the kid came back, played our last game of his spring. So he missed 2 seasons, and he was on the field 20 minutes and was killing it because he's a very good player. He's a kid that we've really rated. He played as a freshman, and he's the real deal. And 20 minutes into returning for our Brown Gold game, which is like the end of our spring season, he breaks his foot. And it doesn't just break his foot; he has to have Liz Frank surgery, which ends the career of professionals.
Yeah.
So the kid has fought, and just watching him today, just seeing him buzz around and enjoy playing, and if we get anything out of the Reid Watkins that we know is going to be awesome. But I mean, just to have him back is great. And then we have Andrew Chase, a sophomore from Memphis, Tennessee, who's again, one of those kids came in at a certain point, and now you see him, it's like you don't even recognize him. He's just a different kid, much more mature, much better player. And then we have Tommy Radela, who's a freshman who is really, really talented. So, I mean, we've got 4 center backs that I feel really good. So that's going to be the cornerstone of our program. I think Dylan Keeling playing as a holding midfielder. I mean, most of our squad, I mean, maybe going back, a little bit to your question, I mean, these are Northeast Ohio guys. We're not one of those schools that goes and recruits internationally and all of that. I mean, we have one international kid who's a kid who came in. We have a partnership with a school in Brazil, so
cool.
He's come in, and it's been kind of fun. He's molded in well with the team, but I mean, 95% of our roster is Northeast Ohio kids that have played at the big schools here in Northeast Ohio. So
well, the good news is there's such competitive, high school soccer in this region.
Absolutely.
It's not like there's a dearth of talent.
Absolutely. So, so these are all local guys, so I think people that come out will sit there and they'll recognize names, they'll recognize programs that these kids came from. But Dylan Keeling from Rocky River missed most of last year. It was just, it was all the stuff that kind of just compounded last year. I mean, he had a hernia in preseason, and and not sports hernia, but the 6-year-old hernia, and it's like, how did this happen? And
oh my gosh.
So unfortunately we lost him, but he's back. He's in great form. Really motivated. Really leading from the front, and the rest of the squad, I think we're going to be really talented in terms of. Like I said, the depth, and we're not going to be counting on one guy. I mean, a couple years ago, we had a very talented kid named Danny Rupel.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, leading scorer in the program, and an All-American, and all of that. And he was he's on my staff now, but very talented player. But I mean, as Danny went, the team went, and I don't think this is going to be one of those groups. I think it's going to be next man up, and everybody's going to be able to. Spread the load out instead of it falling on one shoulder. So I'm real excited about this group.
Ask you about a couple of other players individually. How about Julian? What did you like most about his offseason and where he's at now?
Julian, I think he was one of those guys. I mean, in September of last year, he was playing at an all-region clip, and I think it was, again, one of those needs for us is that we rode him into the ground. I mean, playing 90 minutes, and hey, go win us games, and that takes a toll. And, so I don't think his conference play was really at the level we'd expected. So, kind of seeing him back, energized, ready to go. I expect Julian Keir is going to have a big year for us.
How about in between the pipes?
In between Zoltan Nagy has taken over the number 1 job.
Okay.
He split time as a freshman last year. Really imposing kid physically.
He's a big dude.
I mean, all 3 of our goalkeepers. I mean, they're not light when it comes to height. So but Zoltan has taken over the number 1 job. But I mean, we played all 3 of our keepers against Case Western. They all got equal time and pitched a shutout. So I mean, I think between Zoltan, Nolan Kellogg, and Matt Beck, I mean, I think we've got a really good group between the pipes.
How about maybe more on the offensive side of thing and where you expect that, I don't know if it's necessarily the bulk of your scoring will come from, but who are some of the guys you think you can lean on?
Well, Nick Sirwood's coming back. I mean, he's a really slippery kid. And then his nickname is Saucy, and it's just because he can get himself out of trouble, and he's just got a really good knack for just finding space out of nothing. So he's got some goals in him. Michael Tusick is back, really pacey, electric kid, and I think he'll get us some goals. Shaheen Garamani is healthy.
Good.
He struggled through injury last year and scored a great goal in the alumni game. So banged another one at training today. So he's in really good form. So I think those guys, and I think we've got a couple of young guys that we're keeping under wraps that I think may surprise some people.
Understood. I was going to ask about the freshmen, but I could take a hint. We'll go to the schedule. Look, this is it's a tough league, that's for sure. If you win the OAC, you're battle tested and you're ready for the NCAA tournament, and I know that continues to be part of the identity of what you guys are building toward. Is
sure.
Hey, we are trying to build an OAC championship caliber team. Before we look maybe at some of the non-conference teams, why could this group get over that hump this year?
You know, in some ways, I think a lot of people can overlook us. You know, we didn't have a good year last year. That's and I think it's fueled the guys. I think, you know, sometimes it can kill your confidence. With these guys, it kind of fueled them. I mean, with a tradition of excellence that we've had at BW, I mean, it was an unacceptable year. And so I think rather than them ducking it, it's fueled them. So I think, you know, in some ways, we may be a team that can sneak up on some people. Like I said, I think we're going to be able to run a significant number of players at teams that we haven't been able to do in the past. So I think, you know, in really all three lines, I mean, I think we've got guys that can win us games in the front. I think we've got a midfield that's got a tremendous balance of senior players and youth. I mean, I'm really excited about some of our young midfielders. I think they're really dynamic, really good on the ball. And as I mentioned before, I mean, our back line is going to be really good. So, you know, you figure if we can hang around and just compete, I think we're very good. But yeah, the OAC. I mean, I've been here since 2002, and just seeing the growth in men's soccer in the OAC is just crazy.
Pretty wild.
It is absolutely crazy, and it's great. I mean, it makes it incredibly nerve-wracking, but it's awesome.
Well, that's what you want. I mean, as a competitor, you want to know that you're not just winning. You want to know that you're beating good teams.
Yeah. I mean, if you go to the OAC playoffs where they take the top 6, that's a hell of a year. And then if you're able to win that and go to the NCAAs, I mean, you're going to be battle tested. You're going to go pretty far. There's
conversation.
No doubt about it.
Before we talk maybe more OAC, how about the non-conference? For folks that aren't familiar, Chatham, Geneva, Defiance, Hiram, and Earlham are all on the home schedule, and all in about a 3-week stretch in the month of September. Yellow Jackets will go to Worcester, Allegheny, Teal, Waynesburg, and Bluffton. So there are 10 non-conference games between September 1st and September 25th.
It's a busy schedule, yeah. Yeah, as they say, only in America do you play 20 games in 12 weeks. Yeah, it's and again, it's more the rationale of why we need the deeper squad. We need to be able to rotate players through and have quality when we rotate, not just go to the bench to go to the bench, but go to the bench that can change the game. So, you know, one thing that we typically refer to guys is, you know, they're game changers. You know, hey, go in and change the game, bring some energy or a certain skill set that needs, you know, versus you're the second string or you're the JV. You know, so you know, we have players now that we can really change the makeup of our team, and we can decide what type of players we need for that night. You know, do we need pace? Do we need size? Do we need technicians? So we've got a real good balance of that. And I think with our non-conference schedule, I think it's what I've tried to do is play teams that play a bunch of different styles. You know, get us, you know, try to almost mimic what we're going to see in the OAC. Is every, you know, we're going to open with Worcester on Thursday. I mean, they're going to be well coached. Andy Zidron does a great job there. High energy, organized. Okay, on opening day, we know it's going to have a level of intensity that's going to replicate a little bit of what we're going to see in October. So, you know, that game's a no-brainer. And then other teams that, you know, playing a 3-back or doing things. So, you know, my goal is to use October, certainly to win some games, but to use September to prepare for October. You know, get some players comfortable. Obviously, get our installs sorted out. Get how we're playing, and, you know, really polish our game models here a little bit. But ultimately, when we get to October, then it's that's when it really gets going.
It's go time.
Yeah.
What do you? I mean, look, in a lot of ways, you kind of expect that the powerhouse teams in the league are going to continue to perform that way until people consistently knock them off. So understanding that in you know, large fashion, we're probably going to see some of the same teams toward the top of the table this year. What are your impressions of the league as you come into the season, and what you know about the teams that have certain guys returning?
Yeah, I mean, John Carroll obviously has done very well in our league, but I mean, I think the challenge with the OAC is I don't think there's a team that you can really lay back on. I mean, Muskingum just hired John Bloom, who was 21-year coach at Ohio State. Yeah. You know, went to the college final, you know, College Cup final. You know, and so now they're bringing, you know, a guy with that kind of pedigree into their program, and so you just sit there and go, and it's just one of those. I mean, they've eliminated overtime in the NCAA for soccer, so you know you've got 90 minutes to go out and you know, one. You know, I mean, it's the challenge and the frustration and the joy of soccer is sometimes it's just one play amongst 90 minutes that really determines the the win. I mean, we've had games, we had a couple last year, unfortunately, that were, we felt at the end of the day we were bar none the better team, and just a play here, a play there, turned a game that we felt we should win to a loss, and that's soccer. That's not a BW thing. That's across the globe. That's what makes it such a cool sport. But I don't think there's any team in the OAC that could take a night off against any other team. I think it's just going to be one of those years where there are 10 teams that are really quality.
Some of our folks may have just tuned in for this interview, but we had Jim Hovert on for a football program earlier, and I was talking to him about this. A lot of people look toward the top of the league and kind of figure out, hey, these are the best teams in the league. That must be a great conference because those teams win the league and they go on and have good runs in the playoffs. But I would argue that probably the better way to decide truly how good a conference is to sort of look at the growth and development of the bottom half of the league. And even if those teams don't make moves up the standings, as you pointed out, your record doesn't always, perfectly reflect the kind of progress that you make. How much stronger do you feel this league has gotten as a whole, considering what you've seen maybe the floor of the league do the last few years?
Oh, it's not even close. I mean, I think in my time here, just the quality of the individual players is so much better. I mean, they're cleaner on the ball. They've just got better backgrounds. I mean, you look at what the country in general is doing. I mean, these kids going to playing in Europe at 17, 18 years old. Our World Cup team qualifying with the youngest roster on the planet, and it's crazy. They say if this same team went in 2026, they'll still be arguably the youngest team in the tournament. So it's not just young; it's stupid young. So you look at the growth of the game, and in Ohio. There's not much Division I soccer, so it's a great soccer state. There's not much Division I soccer, so these kids stay at home. You're starting to see more of the teams, go follow the lead of NCAA Division I and Division II, where they're going a little bit international. So the quality just is raised. So I think that, in general, like I said, that's probably been the one piece of the puzzle. Is just the average player over my time here. It's just crazy. I mean, kids that were all conference players when I got here wouldn't even sniff the field now. So it's great. The game is awesome. But I mean, you see programs that are run professionally. You see there's not one in this conference, and that's why I think the OEC is so good, top to bottom in damn near every sport. It's just run professionally. There's expectations. There's a plan for their teams to succeed. But I mean, like I said, I think in the men's soccer side, I don't think there's a night off, and it's going to be crazy.
It's one of the things that I think we all take a lot of pride in this conference. I've been fortunate enough to travel quite a bit and cover teams throughout the country, and there are, I would say, 3 or 4 leagues that Division III schools compete in across America that consistently, regardless of sport, put out really high quality champions and teams that are really, really close to being champions. And without a doubt, I don't care if it's in California or if it's in Maryland, people know what the OAC is. They know about the institutions here and the quality of teams here. And frankly, Reid, I think it's in some regard, it's attribution to the coaches and the programs that you guys have built. That sort of ties into my next question. You mentioned you've been here since 2002. What reinvigorates you about getting started for the new season year after year after year?
It's the insanity of college sports. Your team is never the same.
Right.
You're always graduating kids. You're always bringing new kids in. So, it naturally just invigorates you. You got a new squad every year. You're not dealing with the same kids. Like, oh my God, I've got the same guys. So it's always changing. I love to compete. I love the challenge. I love taking kids and getting them at one point and try to grow them. And for me, that's why I got into coaching. It's just something that I've always enjoyed. So in terms of passion and all of that, it's still there. But like I said, the team never gets stale, and nothing ever gets stale. I mean, it's not like even you look at a guy like Stefanski, they might have 4 new guys out of 55. It's our world, it just changes. So it's kind of frustrating because just when you get the kids, kind of organized and ready and doing the stuff you want them to do, they go graduate and they go make their millions. But it's a lot of fun. I'm the luckiest guy on the planet. I don't have to dread the alarm going off in the morning. Get up and go to work and enjoy it.
That's amazing. The team will open things up Thursday at 5 o'clock at Worcester. It'll be the first game of the season. And by the way, on the conference side, if you'd like to come out and support the Yellow Jackets, they have home games against Marietta, Wilmington, Heidelberg, Ohio Northern, and Capital will be the final game of the year. It is Senior Day on October 29th. The team will play at Mount Union, John Carroll, Muskingum, and Otterbein.
Awesome. Great seeing you, friend.
Great to see you, too. Good
Behave
luck.
yourself.
And,
all right.
Well, we'll try. You too.
Yeah, awesome.
10 non-conference games in September. Can't wait to see the Yellow Jackets get started on Thursday, September 1st, starting at 5 o'clock. So we've heard from head coach Jim Hovert for the football team. We've heard from Reid Ayers on the men's soccer side. It's time to bring on the guy who's in charge of the whole thing, Steve Thompson, who is starting year number 2 at Baldwin Wallace. Great to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me, as always. Love being here with you.
Thanks for having you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, right? That's a good point.
How was your summer?
Man, summer was great. Had a lot of fun. Got to take the kids out a couple places, the most magical place on earth.
Oh, jeez.
Donations are accepted right now to pay back the loan payments I had to go just to go to Disney World with the kids.
You could sneeze and drop $10,000 at Disney World.
Yeah, well, I didn't sneeze then because
it's a wonderful place for families, but it is certainly a challenge to get down there, no doubt.
Yeah, summer's been good.
Good. Hey, let's talk about the year that was before we talk about what's to come here. I realize you sort of walked into a challenging situation because you're coming off of COVID. There's no playbook for getting through COVID as a college, director of athletics. And to try to build something where you establish your own identity and rally an athletic department that, frankly, needs leadership during that kind of a time period. What'd you learn about yourself in year one?
Oh, man, first coming in, I was at a different institution dealing with COVID for the first year and a half of it, right? And just the job Chris Diaz and then John Snell did during that time from March of 20 through my arrival last June, I can't say enough about what they did to help kind of position me to be able to be successful. So, I got in and we had things in place and we're slowly coming out. We went backwards a little bit in January where students weren't allowed to come to basketball games and stuff, but we were able to work through that. And really what I would say I learned about myself, I think that just the importance of relationships and maybe the early trust I was willing to have in our coaches, right? There's always a time frame where you need to build trust in the people you work with, and I'm blessed. The coaches, the student athletes trusted me pretty quick, and then I trusted them as we went through that, and still we were testing to some level, still had the quarantines, the isolations and all that, but working together and finding that trust really quick was so important. And it didn't burn me too much, so we're still here for year 2, so that's a good sign.
Look, I only ask this somewhat tongue-in-cheek because I know there's a method to your madness. Some of that has to come from, hey, I'll throw a banana costume on, or I'll go wrestle, or whatever. There's a relatability there that helps to build that trust.
Right. No, anything I do is all about relationships, and I think when you can, or I believe strongly, I think if you can find a little humor in it and put your guard down, people will maybe connect to you a little bit easier. So that's a lot of what I do is let them see my guard lowered. I'm weigh probably about 125 pounds soaking wet at 6'4", and I put on a wrestling singlet, and I went in. I did make a 3 in the middle of men's basketball practice, and I'll love that, and that'll probably be the high water mark of my career at BW. But I went in and then I ran around with the wrestlers and that sort of thing, and those moments are so important because these young men and women need to see that it's not all just. Especially coming out of COVID, right? It wasn't all just a life or death situation. It was really a hard time for anybody, let alone an 18 to 22-year-old whose identity at one point is they're a football player, a women's basketball player, and then March of 2020, they were at home or wherever on a Zoom, and they no longer had that part of their life, and so to be able to be a little bit of that comedic, whatever you want to call it, but I'm willing to do that. And so throwing on the banana costume at our awards banquet, doing the shots, and I'll still go into the gym, not in a wrestling singlet, but those different things are, it's definitely for the best. But I just had last Thursday, I know you were talking to Coach Hilvert earlier. I just made a great catch down at my alma mater on the sideline. That was on Twitter, where our transfer quarterback threw a nice ball to the corner of the end zone, and I scored it, so that was good.
Out of curiosity, who called it a great catch? Just you?
Just me. Self-proclaimed on Twitter.
It was a great catch.
On Twitter, self-proclaimed.
Steve Thompson, our Director of Athletics, our guest here on the tail end of our show. COVID aside, because I think in a lot of ways people are kind of sick of talking about it and hearing about it. Give us an idea of what you felt like you accomplished in year one and what left you wanting more here as you start the second year.
Man, I would probably sit here and tell you I didn't accomplish anything. Our young men and women accomplished a great deal, and I love being able to brag about them, right? You had Coach Hilvert, had a great football season last year, came up a couple seconds short, really. But still, we had great attendance for our Saturdays in Berea. You roll into the winter, women's basketball goes to the Sweet 16. I got to travel with them to Gettysburg for their first two rounds. That was fantastic. Kind of got to itch my history-loving bone in my body as well, cool. So that was good. That was really awesome. Saturday morning in Gettysburg, PA, going through that battlefield, enjoying a cup of coffees.
Like a borderline religious experience.
Yeah, that's exactly how to put it. The fog was rising, but had that. Then I went out with our wrestling team to Cedar Rapids and saw Jake Decatur win the national championship, Michael Petrella, which was probably the most exhilarating sporting event because, wrestling's 7 minutes, and ultimately in those 7 minutes, the entire arena but one small school out of Iowa started cheering for Michael Petrella, and that was so much fun, and awesome. Hair on my arms, right? So I got to do that, and those experiences, and then obviously with the baseball team then, and even before that, men's lacrosse winning the OAC. We had Hope Murphy in the fall, Hope Murphy and Alyssa Lochner in the winter, and
then again in the spring.
In spring, yeah, and then ultimately the baseball run. The only painful thing about that was I had booked a Disney trip, so I was at the hotel pool, the Disney Resort pool, watching our baseball team in the World Series. That was probably the only way I would ever miss a World Series game. But I went to the first rounds in Rochester, Brockport, which was fantastic to see those guys. I got to jump on that pile. That was awesome. But it wasn't anything really about what I achieved, just what they did, and buying into kind of the message we're giving them right now of being an entire family within the athletic department. And really, what I'm looking for, right? That success we had last year is, it just leaves you wanting more. And where else we can go with some of our other programs. Reid, has done a great job with we got some exciting young freshmen in this year, and where the soccer programs could possibly go with him and Jim, Woykin, and then rolling into the winter with men's basketball. What could we do from that standpoint? Got a Rittman recruit on the men's basketball team, which is my high school alma mater, so the men's basketball budget was just increased by like $200,000. But no, I just really to seeing what's the ceiling for BW athletics, and we're not close yet. We got a lot of work to do, but the potential is limitless.
Look, I think a lot of people would appreciate the fact that you would say, look, it's the kids. But there is something about when you look at the health of an athletic department. You need good coaches, you need programs, you need people that can recruit, and you need leadership. And when those things all come together, special things can happen. And I don't need to rehash it because you touched on a lot of it, but, man, 2021-22 as an academic year featured a heck of a lot of success for the Yellow Jackets across lots of different sports. And from the outside looking in, I think folks would say, gosh, that's a really healthy place. Facilities that look good, coaches that have a ton of energy, a lot of local kids that are choosing to stay closer to home, but there are certainly some talented student athletes that are saying, no, that's a place I want to go travel to and spend my college days. And I think it's a credit to what you've done and to what a lot of your coaches have done. How would you describe the cohesion that you guys have as an athletic department for somebody that doesn't, maybe we've got a soccer fan watching tonight because we had Coach Ayers on.
Yeah.
But they're not too familiar with our softball program or the women's volleyball program, which is under new leadership. How would you describe to someone who doesn't know some of the other programs the cohesion that you guys have as a group?
Yeah, I think that is where a lot of the success comes from, right? Is first of all, our coaches support one another like you wouldn't believe, right? We had Coach Hilvert, Coach Ayers on tonight. Coach Hare, is here
yep.
Just to watch and be a part of the evening, and that's just not three people, right? We have several golf outings over the summer, which are a lot of fun for me to get to know some alumni and friends of the programs. But our coaches are playing and supporting in each one. So the football outing has their men's basketball staff, and the wrestling outing has some baseball guys and the basketball staff, and so they know, and this is kind of cliche, right? Is rising tides lift all boats.
Absolutely.
And they see that from the momentum, and so they're supporting each other, and then the kids feed off that, right? The kids start to show up for each other, and you have at some of our volleyball games last year, because I truly believe, and she's no longer with us, Coach Casey, she was going out and supporting each other,
Heck yeah.
supporting some other programs.
By the way, she's still with us. She's just not with us at BW.
Yeah, she's no longer at BW. That's a great – man, did that sound terrible.
Casey's good. She's moved down to Fort Lauderdale. Oh, my gosh.
That was a very callous statement.
And we wish Casey good luck with the Sharks from Nova Southeastern, but she's still very much with us.
Yeah, no. Just trying to use her as an example. That sounds terrible. I'm going to get a text in no time. But
that's funny.
But that, those kind of things, and then all of a sudden you see, Coach Harrison show up at the football games, and or maybe it's a women's basketball game. I can think of some of the men's lacrosse staff at a women's basketball game. And so then the kids see that, and they start to support one another, and that's where the energy comes into the buildings, and you really thrive off each other. One of the things we're doing again this year, which Alan Culp, who was our faculty athletic representative for, I think, 12 or 13 years, he taught a leadership symposium. We've continued that, and that gives us a chance for then even student-athlete leaders of different programs to interact with our different coaches. So just last Tuesday, our first class, and you had a couple baseball guys sitting and talking with Coach Hare, and the baseball coach was talking, Coach Harrison was talking to some wrestlers, and they start to see where that interconnectedness comes from, and they start to place some value on it. And it really just stems from that coach, the respect, the care they have for one another is just second to none. And so for a 17 or 18-year-old then looking for a college, that's you can play basketball anywhere.
Sure.
But can you go play basketball for a coach that could change your life? There's only a few places that can do that.
Yeah.
And I think BW, obviously, with the coaching staff we have both on the men's and women's side, is that kind of place. And, I tell this story a lot at all our freshman orientations about the impact my college basketball coach had on my life. And if it wasn't for him and my parents, I wouldn't be here. And that's across the board. That's every coach I'm so proud that we have on this staff, because they have the possibility, they have the ability to positively impact so many people. I feel like you just looked at your computer because Casey texted you to give you a hard time.
She sure did.
But not dead Casey, which is good. But no, just the coaches we have here are exceptional, and I get to support them. And at the end of the day, my job is to eliminate obstacles for them and our student athletes to be successful, whether that's on the court in competition or in the classroom. And we're very successful there too. I talked about our championships and whatnot, but our student athlete GPA is over a 3.3.
It's outstanding.
Yeah, I mean it's the well-rounded student athlete experience at BW that you're not going to get at so many other places.
Let's wrap with this. You mentioned you at some of these golf outings you get to meet other alumni from some of these different teams. I know you're here and you're supportive every week, but we don't have a chance to talk to you super regularly. What kinds of initiatives for people that haven't had a chance to meet you or who are interested in trying to find ways to support the Yellow Jackets other than just putting a button in a seat and showing up and cheering them on? What ways right now are available for people to come support BW Athletics?
Yeah, I tell you, we're looking at a lot of different things this year and really trying to engage more and more alums. First, if you come to a game, find me. I'm there. I like to have a good time, cheer on the Jacket. So don't be afraid to show up. Not see the tall, 125-pound soaking wet former wrestler, tap on my shoulder and let's have a conversation. But some of the things we're looking forward to, right? We're going to do another Giving Day in November. That's financially is big for our department. We've done some good things out of there. You're going to see some new uniforms on the football team this year that came through that. Our track and cross country team has gotten some new equipment that will help them prepare for championships as they move forward, which is great. And all of our programs benefit from that. So that's really big. And then different other events that we have throughout the year. I travel a fair amount, which is really one of the fun parts of the job, and going in those travels to go out and meet alumni. So even if you're not in Berea, check the schedules, see where we're playing at. We travel all over the country. Baseball's going to Florida. Wrestling's in Nashville in the wintertime. So all different places. The big one is softball is going to go to California and Hawaii. And I just found out last week the AD needs to go on that trip, which is just terrible.
Yeah. Tough scene. Need an announcer?
Yeah, right. But just being engaged, is so important. We're talking about, and this is the kind of the scary conversation is for a lot of people, is what name, image, and likeness means. You could do a whole podcast on that, even at the Division III level. And I think there's a place where our student athletes have a brand that could benefit some companies. And how do we educate our student athletes in that space?
Sure.
And so if you're in the business world and the marketing world, we're looking at people that can talk to our student athletes and how we can connect them with those engagements that then will serve them after their playing careers are done. Because at the end of the day, I want to win championships. I tell all our guys that, but you didn't come to BW just to win championships. You came to get your degree, and we need to be committed to that as well as we are committed in the weight room and committed to competition. But we also need our alumni and our friends to help us. So as we get our student athletes to that point, we can help connect them with that next job that will then hopefully catapult them to a great career and a great life.
Absolutely thrilled for what the Yellow Jackets did last year. I know it was a great summer and some big plans for the coming year. Good luck.
Can I just do one more thing, because I told Coach Hare and Rob Becker and Jeff Miller that I had to loop this in somehow.
Oh boy.
With the soccer coach on and my affinity for Ted Lasso, I feel like I had to get something in.
Uh-oh.
And one of the best scenes in Ted Lasso is talking about overtime. The best thing the NCAA has done this year is there's no overtime in the regular season for soccer. So Ted Lasso would be good with that. There's no ties.
He would be.
So I got to add that piece just to have a little bit of fun to end the show.
That was a lot tamer than I was expecting.
Yeah, I get it. There's kids watching.
Great to see you. Steve Thompson, our Director of Athletics at BW, as we wrap up show number 1 here of the season. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you so much.
All right. We do have a couple events we want to tell you about here this coming week. We'll start on Thursday, where the majority of our teams will get rolling with their competition. Cross country at 6 o'clock will compete at the Worcester Invitational. Both the men and women will be in action on Thursday. And we did mention men's soccer is opening their season at Worcester on Thursday at 5 o'clock. Friday, the women's volleyball team starts their season. They will play their first game against Smith College, a team from the NESCAC up in Massachusetts. That's going to be at Cedar Point Sports Center in Sandusky. And then the Yellow Jackets will play Hope out of the MIAA, who is always one of the terrific teams in the country in women's volleyball. They will play Hope in the second game of that doubleheader. So Smith and then Hope for the Yellow Jacket women's volleyball team on Friday. Women's soccer opens their season Friday as well. They're going to play, as they often do to open the season, at the Herb Loeffner Memorial Tournament that is hosted in Erie, Pennsylvania at Penn State Barron. The Yellow Jackets' first game is going to be against Fredonia, a team from New York. Saturday's a fairly busy day. Most teams are competing. Men's and women's golf will both be in action. Women's golf will be at the Mount St. Joseph State Line Shootout down in Greater Cincinnati. The men's golf team will be in Dover, Ohio, a tournament hosted by Worcester. It's referred to this year as the Gatorade Collegiate Invitational. Women's volleyball continues its tournament on Saturday as well. They've got Grove City. They'll play that game at 8 a.m. and follow it up with Hanover in the afternoon at 12 noon. Men's tennis on Saturday, scheduled to play at 9 a.m. against Allegheny, the Gators. And that will be in Meadville, Pennsylvania at Allegheny. Men's and women's soccer both playing this weekend as well. On Saturday, the men at 2 o'clock will host Chatham, and then the women will play Penn State Behrend in their second game of the year. That's at 7:30. And then, as we mentioned a bit earlier, the football team will be on the road at Mount St. Joe's at 1:30 on Saturday. Sunday, men's and women's golf continue with the second day of that tournament, and men's tennis will play again against Allegheny on Sunday, and that is at 10 a.m. And then Monday, we'll be right back here Monday at 7:30 for episode number 2 of the 2022-2023 Athletics Roadshow season. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope you had a great summer. And, the good news here is that, at least in Northeast Ohio right now, the weather seems to be getting a little cooler, a little quicker, which means maybe some of those outdoor events would be that much more comfortable if you're looking for a comfortable night to go sit outside and support one of our teams, or come inside and watch the Yellow Jacket volleyball team compete. So hope to see you out at a game or a match real soon. I'm Brendan Gulick on BWYellowJackets.com. Of course, for all the latest news and info with our teams, stay tuned on this website right here. We'll give you all the updates throughout the course of the year. Thanks for joining us. Mike's Bar and Grill. Appreciate your support of Yellow Jacket Athletics, and we'll see you again next Monday.